Hi, I'm B-Boy Bill, and this is Building the Yard, Episode 6. Hey guys, we're back in the B-Yard this week, and I am super excited to say that from all those queen cells, we were able to get 10 different colonies. So from these two main colonies, I was able to cut queen cells, pull queen cells, and build a bunch of nucs, 8 different nucs. And so between the main 2 colonies and the 8 nucs, we now have 10 colonies if everything goes right. So this video is just going to be how I did that, showing you different techniques that I did, and I am not an expert at any of this. This is my first time cutting queen cells. I have done multiple nucs from colonies before, but I have never cut queen cells. So go ahead and watch and let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks everybody for watching. You might remember this frame here from a couple weeks ago when we did the easy queen method that failed. Well, I left this in here because they built a bunch of comb on it and started laying brood in it. So I left it in, and now it is full queen cells. So part of what we're going to do here is cut out these queen cells and get them in some nucs on their own. You may have noticed that this is just the top bar, and that's because I was just trying to make queens on it. I didn't expect them to draw out the comb, but this did lead to a few problems. For one, anytime you have comb without sides on it, the bees are going to stick the sides to something, and they were definitely sticking them to the sides of the hive. The other problem that I have is it's not very sturdy. There's no support, there's no bar across the middle. This is completely natural comb, and that will lead to some problems here in the future, as you will see. I kept going through this hive to see what else was going on and if they made any more queen cells, and they sure did. So you can see on this frame here on the bottom towards the left, there's a ton of bees covering a queen cell, and there's a close-up of it. So this frame definitely had at least one queen cell on it, and I went ahead and put this back in the hive and left it for the hive. I don't know if they're swarming or if the queen is in the nuc, but for some reason they just went crazy, started making queens everywhere, and this is one of them. I don't mind though, because every queen I find is another nuc, and I'm actually going to leave a few in this hive here just to make sure that the mother hive does continue, because this is one of my favorite colonies I've ever had, and like I said, it's been going for 3 years. I've said it in previous videos, but this is my favorite hive. The bees are great to work with. They fill this hive up every year. They barely use any honey over the winter, and they're just a great hive. And the most important thing is they've lasted the longest. They've had this hive since my first year of beekeeping, and I'm sure they superseded themselves, but the genetics are still there, and I am happy with it. Over here on the left hand side of the frame, you see another uncapped queen cell, and this could be a possible queen that hatched already, but the cell is very uniform, so it doesn't look like a queen emerged from it. Normally when I see cells that have emerged, they are kind of rough around the edges, and that is nice and smooth. The odd thing is that there are no bees around it, and usually when they're working on these queen cells, there's a ton of bees around it when there's a healthy queen or a healthy larva inside. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that one, but we're going to leave it in here, and like I said, I'm going to leave a couple in here, so that's just one more backup queen cell for them. Look at all that beautiful drone comb. And I know a lot of you guys aren't liking the drone comb out there, but I don't mind it at all. That is my genetics populating the neighborhood with my bee children, so I'm perfectly happy to let them go. And there is a queen cell. So this frame here has got a queen cell on it already. It's got tons of nurse bees and some brood. I'm just going to go ahead and make this up into one of the nucs. I'll get the first nuc out of the way here without even having to cut any queen cells out. I'll put it in this nuc box, and we'll get it set up, and we'll move on to the next one. I thought this was interesting, and I've never seen this before. Right in the center of this frame is a queen cell that's been torn open, and there's some white goop hanging from it. And I personally never noticed this before. So I'm not sure if another bee, another queen came and ripped this queen cell open. It doesn't, to me, look like it's old enough to do any piping. So I'm not sure if the queen would have found this yet, because it definitely doesn't look like a bee. And as far as I understand it, when a queen is emerging and she finds other queen cells, she locates those by making this piping sound, and then they pipe back to her, and then she'll go murder them. But in this case, I'm not sure that's what happened, because that doesn't look like a bee old enough to make any noise. So if anybody has any idea what this white goop is and why this queen cell might be ripped open, I'd love to know your opinion. Just shoot me down below and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks. You'll see here in a second when I get this nuke made up, I am positioning them around the bee yard in different directions, with the entrances facing in different directions, so that when the queen does emerge, she'll have a better chance of returning to her home, just based on the direction and the color of the hives that they're on. And I'm also alternating the lids on some of them, so I'll use a green nuke with a blue lid if I have it, and then make sure that they're all facing different directions. And right now I'm actually keeping the entrance closed, just using a vent, and I do this for about 24 hours just to keep as many bees in there as possible. And when I do open them, I put something in front of them, usually a piece of weed or something, so that the bees, when they do come out, they start doing a orientation flight again. They'll realize something's different, and I'll try to hang on to as many of the bees there as possible. But most of the workers are probably going to go back to the main hive, so basically relying on nurse bees for that to happen. Now, this is my first time actually cutting cells. Normally when I do these processes, I'm able to get a bunch of queens on different frames, and I don't have to cut the cells. But there was just too many this time, and I wanted to get them from the mother hive. So this is actually my first queen cell that I've ever cut here on camera for you guys. And look, there's one on that side, there's one on that side. They're back to back. So this is going to go in a nuke, and this will be 2 queens for this nuke. Most of the nukes I've done up this time around have 2 queens in them. I could probably get away with 1, but I didn't have enough nurse bees to go around to make up that many nukes, so I was only able to make 10 complete colonies. I made 8 nukes from the 2 hives, and then the 2 hives will give me the 10. You can see here about to blow on the bees here to move them out of the way of this other queen cell. I sometimes say I'm whispering to the bees, but actually, I don't know, they just don't like my breath or the carbon dioxide or the warmth of my breath, but they will move out of the way so that you can get in there and get the queen cells cut out. This was an easy one right on the bottom, and bam, that was all it took. And I'm going to balance this between 2 frames and try to wedge it in here. I am probably not the most graceful person in the world. I did end up dropping a couple of these cells trying to do this, and because actually I dropped the same one 2 or 3 times, so that's another reason why I put some backups in. This is my first time ever doing this with the queen cells. I'm not thinking this is the best way to do it, but it's definitely simple and gets the job done. And I didn't invent this. I saw other people doing it on YouTube, and it seems to work well for them, so I'm going to give it a go too. Now I'm dipping into the other hive to get some nurse bees out of here. Really cutting it close with the amount of bees that I have, and trying to make up these nukes, but it's kind of like go big or go home. I'm running out of weather, and running out of the time to increase. So I got to get these nukes made up and make up as many as I can with the bees I have. This hive, I'm not super excited about breeding from this particular hive, but the bees will work great to nurse my queen cells from my other hive into shape. This hive also did end up making queen cells, and I just started making more nukes with it. I ended up with 4 hives from this one and 6 from the other, so a total of 10 hives I got. Now I'm kind of just going through here and seeing what is left in here and seeing what I can do with the resources that I have. It looks like this one had a bunch of nurse bees on, so I went ahead and shook those off into the nuke I was making up. Of course, this frame here with the bunch of nurse bees on it also had a queen cell, if you look up to the right there. And so I had to improvise to get these bees off of here and get them into the nuke. And I ended up using a old standby method that I have. I'm not sure where I've seen this done. Maybe my buddy Jim told me about it. I really can't remember what the first time I did this is, but I don't have a bee brush, and I didn't want to shake this frame because of the queen cell. So I always just get some weeds nearby, and unfortunately I burn all the weeds out of the bee yard in a couple videos ago to keep the weeds down. So I had to go out of the bee yard and pick these weeds special just to come back and brush the bees off. But as you can see here, we saved the queen cell, and it is not capped yet, so hopefully it's still good. I'll put it back in this hive and they can make a queen and do what they want with it. Now we're back over at that frame and where we wanted to take the queens off of. This is from the hive with the great genetics, and just looking for more queen cells in here. And this is about the time that disaster struck, and I wasn't looking to get into another project, and I felt really bad about this, but you'll see here in a second. I'm picking this up to look at it, and just the comb just gave way finally, and here we go. Oh, what a disaster. Now I was able to save just about all of the bees here, and they got back in the hive, and I also saved all the brood. So the next part of the video is showing how I saved the brood and saved as many bees as I could. I might have lost a couple bees, but thankfully I was able to save the brood, save the queens, and this is how I ended up doing it. Kind of hard to see from this angle, but I am laying this into a frame, and I'm about to cut the bottom off. There's a queen cell in this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and make another nuke up while I have this, and once I lay it down here in a second, you will see where the queen cell is. So right there, it's another one that's not capped yet. I don't know if it's going to be viable or not. That's why I'm doubling up some of these. So we'll just go ahead and put it in a nuke and see what happens with this one. I'll definitely have another one in here anyway as a backup plan. And here's the frame that I put the brood comb in, and I kind of just smashed it in there as best as I could. I thought about putting some rubber bands over the whole entire frame, but I didn't have any out here, so I made sure to smash as much comb I could against the starter strip, and then put this in the hive with the nurse bees. And this has another queen cell on it, so hopefully between this one and the other one I just put in, one of them's gonna go, or both of them, and they can duke it out to see which one's the toughest. Now here I am with the last piece of the brood comb that came out of there, and what I'm going to do here is use this honey frame, cut out a section, and get the brood comb in here. So I'm just trying to figure out the best orientation to put the brood comb in order to get this to work. And I ended up turning it 90 degrees, and I know it's backwards as far as honey goes. You know, if they've tried filling this, the honey may run out, but they don't care about the brood. They'll still get the brood hatched. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in here as best as I can. It's kind of like building a puzzle. I'm just going to cut out the piece that I need, and then I'm going to put this in here and try to sandwich it in here, and the bees will stick it back down for me once it gets in the hive. And there it is. I don't do as good a job as the bees do, but I think this will work to at least get the brood hatched, and then if need be I can pull this frame out of here. So we're going to go ahead and get this in the mother hive, get her closed up, and that'll be that. You can see here that I just had the point of view shot running in the wide angle, and I'm just going to go through and make up these newts with the queen cells, and this is how I ended up getting the 10 colonies out of the 2 colonies. I did check back in on these colonies a couple days in a row, and the queens were starting to come out and hatch and hopefully going on their mating flights. But then over the weekend here, we got into some really rainy weather and also some very cold weather. We're dipping down into the 30s again. And yes, we are at Memorial Day weekend. This is normally when we can start planting things in my area. But of course, we're not going to be able to do that this weekend because we're down under 40 degrees in the evening. So that might be a little problematic for these bees. Hopefully the nurse bees were able to keep the queen cells warm enough, and if the queens hatch, hopefully they're able to keep the queen warm enough so she can get out there and do her mating flight as soon as we get some nicer weather here. This is kind of one of those things where I need to go big or go home because I haven't seen anything in my traps yet. I also haven't got a swarm call, and I really wanted to get this apiary filled up this year. It's been many years since I built all these hives, and some of them never seen any bees just because I was working on getting the genetics right and other commitments that got in the way of my bee work. So hopefully this is the year, and hopefully this is the work that gets it done. 10 hives will get me well on my way to filling these hives. I have 16 hives, as you remember before, and I'm hoping to get them all filled with at least 1 colony, if not doubling those up. Well, that'll be it for this episode. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the little bell thing so you get notified. I want to thank all you guys for your support, and your comments have been great. I'm B-Boy Bill, and we'll see you next time.